Welcome back. Another week of RMAC Weekly. More football to talk about. How are we feeling, Draper? You were gone last week. How's it feel to be back, my man?
I'm finally back to something I can talk about. Definitely missed last week. I mean, shout out to you for doing what you did and having the extra person hop on. That was dope.
Coach
I mean,
Four came through,
yeah,
man.
with coach that was super dope. But I'm excited. It was a great week of football. We get the opportunity to talk about football. That's all I live and dream and breathe is football. And man, I'm just happy. Let's get to it. Let's jump in, AC. What do you think?
Okay, we can jump in. Like you mentioned, we had Coach Floor on the show, and we talked about the 140th Black Hills Brawl, and I mentioned to him the previous four times the visiting team has won, and this one gets started, and it's going in the Hard Rockers' way immediately. You're gonna see here a coming up after this kick, and they get the 3 points. You're gonna see some of the greatest picks you're gonna see on video. Like, take a look at this. RMAC Player of the Week, Lane Thomas goes up. Oh my gosh! Of course, he's wearing number 21. Goes up, comes off his feet, no gloves because the rain and whatnot. You see, the fans didn't care either. The conditions didn't matter. But Lane, again, this one, he almost mosses the receiver. Just goes up over him, snatches that one off the top of his head. Black Hills, they fight back a little bit. They score their one touchdown, but this is actually a running back pass, a little pop pass to TJ Salmon. But you're going to see Black Hill or SD Mines. They finally got that running game really, really going. Ty Harris went for over $150. You got Dawson Dunbar here scoring a touchdown. And SD Mines, they reclaimed the homestake trophy. The streak continues 5 years in a row. The visiting team has won this game. What's your immediate reaction? What was your reaction watching this?
I mean, first off, I was jealous. Those ring games are the best games to play in. You tackle somebody, you slide for 5-10 yards, you get up and you're laughing, you're having fun. For the stat box people that looked in there, they're like, man, the passing sucked. Obviously, it's gonna suck. It's a full run game, and at that point, and South Dakota Mines is able to take over the rushing and just keep doing it. That was what that's gonna be what wins the game. We talk about getting 3.4 yards per play. South Dakota Mines came out and did it every time. Black Hills side of it, I thought it looked rough for a team that's historically known to be able to run the ball. They kind of struggled, and then when it came to getting their big plays with TJ Chukwuwara, I mean, he had one catch. I mean, it was like taking their best player out of the game and saying, okay, beat me another way, and they couldn't do it. And that's a problem. I mean, it truly is a problem, especially when you're known to be that physical force in the RMAC, and you can't do it against your rival on top of that. So big rivalry game, can't show up in the rivalry game, but also, you can't put on your intensity and take it to a team that has been struggling in the whole year. They have been. And you've shown that you can hang out with, Grand Valley. You can show out with the teams that matter. But when it comes to playing in RMAC games you should win, you disappear. And that was just one thing I took away on it. I was like, man, I don't know what's going on with Black Hills. I hope they can shake it out, get some wins going on the rest of the year. The season ain't open or over after week 6. You got week 7 coming up, but it is a time where you look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, are we going to be that team that's 1-10 the rest of the way? Or are we going to be that team that's 4-6 or 5-6 or 6-5? Sorry. Trying to do math, and that was not my thing at Pueblo. We were not math grads. But, good win by South Dakota Mines. I mean, they came out, they controlled the tempo, and they were able to make the plays. Lane Thomas, right? Lane Thomas out there making plays. I mean, the 21's a big thing when you got it out here and you got AC to talk about it. Yeah. He looked like the receiver on both those plays, which that second pick, I'm like, as a receiver, you got to be able to go, or you got to go through it, man. You got to go try to make a play. You can't just let the guy, moss you. Or Chris Berman, I would be like, moss, but I'm not Chris B. But you definitely, it was still a mossing out there. I don't know.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, my biggest takeaway from this game is, like, for as much as Black Hills will play up to the competition of whoever they're playing and be competitive, they'll also play down to teams that, respectfully, that they're just more talented than at this point in time. Like, you seen they were in a game with Fort Lewis a couple weeks ago. They ended up getting the dub, but I thought they should have won, more comfortably than they did. They got a bad habit of playing up or down to their competition. They got Western coming up next week, so maybe that means they're going to show up and show out. But yeah, you can't be playing down to teams that you should consider yourself better than, especially as like South Dakota's kind of in a rebuilding year with a young quarterback. You'd think you'd be able to get after him. This is his first Black Hills Brawl. It's on the road in your home house, in your house. You got the trophy already. You brought it to the game. Like, very disappointing to see this kind of effort. And then Luke Doobie, who, to start the year looked like he could be one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, but 3 picks, 55%, 118 yards. Maybe as a play caller, maybe in those conditions, you shouldn't have been throwing the ball as much as you should have, but got to give credit to Gage Baker taking care of the ball, keeping it clean and not turning it over. And then SD Mines, that offensive line really starting to come along as the season goes on. Really they started pushing them boys around. Like, you see Kellen Collier had 12 tackles, but only 1 TFL. You'd think a guy that was first team all RMAC and whatnot would be in the backfield more, but SD Mines was able to do it. They handled business, and credit to them. We had another rivalry game, one that I'm very, very familiar with. The Nikos Cup took place in Golden, and you're going to see on this first highlight, this game was all about Brandon Belgrave. He really got it going today. You had talked about it all year, saying when he got healthy, Draper, that he was going to be cooking. Mines, it's not like this wasn't a competitive game. Like, Mesa didn't run away with it. Mines, they were doing their thing. You see Capra escaping, climbing up in the pocket, finding Nick Stone, Axel Richard, the play before that. But Mesa, that running game, they really showed something, like exposed something with Mines. I can't remember the last time I seen a team run the ball on Mines like this. Maybe going back to like the old Pueblo days. But again, Belgrave just couldn't be tackled. The first guy couldn't tackle him. And then we got Gibby Leaf Green Gibson coming up with the big strip, timely play. Mines, like I said, they'd battle. Braylon Tate gets a touchdown here. You're going to see this game was back and forth. Mesa would just end up having the last laugh. Belgrave, again, the first guy cannot tackle him, not wrapping up. This is a 2-point conversion Mesa went for to tie it up at 21. Mesa gets the ball back. They're driving. My man Jackson Zimmerman, big pick over the freshman, the little star freshman that's been emerging the past couple of weeks. Jackson had that assignment, came away big. But Belgrave, again, another missed tackle. And then we got chaos. You want to give a spin on this one, Draper? Tell me what you were saying in the green room. You believe that it's down right here.
Yeah, on both of these.
Yeah, you think that that's a forward pass, so you think it's dead there.
But very similar here.
Down here.
Yep. But you got to be able to hold the coaching on the coaching of the sidelines. You got to be able to hold your sidelines. That's a failure on their side. You've got coaches running onto the field with the players. What are we doing? You don't know until that whistle blows. You don't know the play's over. Obviously, I did think that was a forward pass. It's not like it was intentionally thrown to be forward. Wynn carried it to
kind of a hit. Hit. Christian hit him right as he was throwing it, and it kind of.
And the Wynn took it forward, which in legalized standards of the game, that is like forward pass. It should have been blown dead there. Game should have been over. We don't talk about the rest of the play. But then I think the second tackle right after that is obvious. The kid's down. Right. He's throwing it back, and I'm like, I don't know. It was chaos in the making, and it seemed like we were down to make it even more chaotic. I'm gonna poke a little fun at Miles, but he was going crazy on the broadcast on it. The guy that did make the tackle
was on the play.
He was on the field. We declared it. We found it. He was on the field. Miles feels bad. I want everybody to know that he does. But it's the
All
love
love
of the game.
Miles.
It's the passion and the love of the game.
All
If
love
you've ever listened to
Miles.
Miles talk, you ever go like, man, this is next to John Madden. Like he makes you love the game. Um, Overall, though, just talking about the game, man, I thought it was a surprising factor to see Mesa come out and truly dominate as much as they have, or as much as they did, in a team that doesn't give up domination. I mean, you said going back to the Pueblo days. I don't really think I could name a Pueblo day when I was there that we dominated in a run fashion.
300 yards rushing, yeah. I
It
mean,
was
the last time I seen that was like Harding in the
yep,
national championship, but that's a whole different offense. You know what I mean?
yep.
Mesa, obviously, they want to be a running hard nosed team, and yeah, they definitely got it done. Like, let's just talk about Brandon Belgrave. Like, how many tackles do you think he broke on Saturday?
I wanna say at least 17. I mean, his yards after carry have to be at least like 205 at this point. Like he made plays on his own. You always talk about as a running back, you make your own block or make your own miss. You're blocking 10 on 10. The quarterback doesn't ever block, so there's a free guy somewhere, and you've got to make a guy miss. And that's Brandon Belgrave. I've said it from the beginning of when we started talking in the summer. To when we found out he was going to have an injury. When they got him back and going, it's only going to make the offense a little easier. When you look at the passing stats, you're like, man, Cole Hansen only threw for 87. I mean, he did that in the 2-minute drills, both before half and going into the game. I mean, as a quarterback, when you throw for 87, one touchdown, one pick, at the end of the day, as long as you win, you kind of look at yourself and go, look, I was a game manager. I won the game, right?
It was his first start. I think he did well in his first start, and I think he's gonna have a lot more confidence moving forward.
I wanna give the shout out to Gibby, like we said. I mean, Gibby's been filling in that role that we talked about heavily. When you lose a kid like Jason Tomei and you can't, their first 2 weeks, it's obvious. That's where the struggle's at. He's stepped up pretty heavily. I mean, I think this is now 2 weeks in a row. He's got a turnover.
3 weeks. Going
3
back to the
weeks.
Pueblo game, he had that pick in the Pueblo game. Didn't he have a pick versus Shadron too, or was it another forced fumble?
I want to say he might have had a pick. I don't think he had a pick.
He's
He
on
might
a
have
run.
He's on a
He's
run.
on a run
And
of turnovers every week.
and it's awesome to see. It's a kid that really deserves everything that comes to him. He's a great kid, and he's a student of the game and every nature of it. Jumping on the Colorado School of Mines, Capra didn't play a bad game. I mean,
Not at
he
all.
played the game you'd look at and go, yeah, I should win this.
Mhm.
But the problem for a quarterback, you don't play the 11 spots on the defensive side, so we can't blame a quarterback for putting up amazing stats and then not being able to play defense, or we'd be getting mad more at Dak Prescott. But the running side of them, it didn't look like they were back to their normal thing of what we know Mines. They didn't have a rusher that broke 100, and it kind of pulled them backwards a little bit. When you can't load up the box like they've been known to do, it doesn't open up your receivers. And we said it week in and week out, but I think really Flynn Shealy not playing is a big miss for them, because you're missing one of your top guys that's going to take two defenders every time to take over him, and
I think
kind of opens it.
I think that applies to Landon Walker too. Like he wasn't suited up for this game, and I actually think Braylon played well. I think he was an effective runner. The 75 yards and the touchdown he had, but he's not as physically imposing as Landon is. Like tackling Landon over the course of the game, it wears on you. You know what I mean? Braylon's a little bit smaller. I don't think he can wear on defenses the way Landon does, and I think that kind of showed. And then I think overall, like my biggest takeaway would just be, I'm not sure if it's so much that Mesa is like punching up to that elite level of the conference. I just think it's kind of like, I think we can respectfully say that Mines no longer is one of the truly elite teams of the RMAC. I think that's reserved just for Pueblo and Western at the moment. Whereas before, it's kind of always been a big three. I think right now it's just the two. I think Mines is just not at the level overall that they were before. And I think that was on display this weekend. Like 300 yards on the ground is pretty crazy. And the amount of broken tackles Brandon had it was kind of astounding to watch up close and personal. But shout out to the Mavs. They retained the Nikos Cup. Crazy story. So I get there, right? And I'm in the press box and I'm like getting my camera set up and whatnot. I'm just like kind of looking out. And I see a guy and I'm like, is that Justin Dvorak? So like, you know what? I run up on him. I'm like, yo, Mr. Dvorak. And I'm like, yeah, I'm blah, blah, blah. I played at Mesa. And I'm like, do you live in Golden? He's like, nah, man, I'm going in the Hall of Fame today. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's dope. Like, you definitely deserve it. Like, I've played you. I know the caliber player you are. Giving him his flowers and whatnot. But I mentioned to him, I was like, you wanna know what's crazy? I was like, Mesa hasn't beaten Mines here since that last time like I played you. And he was like, man, I really hope it doesn't go down and in the same way it did my last time. And what do you know? Mesa does it. First time since 2016 that they beat Mines at Mines. Like, what is that crazy or am I just overthinking it?
It was nutty. I mean, that's dope. One, I mean, I will say Dvorak was a crazy quarterback in general. We both got to play against him, and I mean, he was like Superman back there, truthfully.
Oh yeah.
But that, I mean, you kind of spoke into existence, and I think he kind of went with the existence, and that's what brought it in. You gotta give a shot. You gotta give a shot to your boys, man. I mean, they showed up, they played.
They did it. They did it.
I said weeks before, those rivalry games bring out the best out of the team, bring out the best in the competition. And if you're looking over the team, get ready to get smacked in the face. And I think it kind of showed up again this week.
I love it. You know, I love to see it. Go Mavs. I was a happy camper on Saturday for sure. But moving along to our next game, Highlands coming off their first loss, kind of getting it handed to them a little bit up in Gunnison at Western. They welcomed in the Thunderwolves, and yeah, this one wasn't close at all. They started a new quarterback, the freshman Colin Stuckey. You know, he's more athletic than Aiku Dengwu, but yeah, it didn't go over well. Jeffrey Jones wasn't suited up. He was out with an injury. I'm not sure what that injury is, but he was out. And yeah, Pueblo's not playing, man. Pueblo, I think Pueblo, you know, getting out of Central Missouri so close was the wake-up call they needed because they've been on a tear ever since. How do you feel about your Thunderwolves? I see you're rocking some Thunderwolves gear tonight. How'd you feel watching what they did to Highlands in their place?
Now I get a lot of hate because apparently all I do is hate, but I do love my pack. I do love them, and this is a thing that you should be doing when you're CSU Pueblo. You should be hanging up almost 60 points on a team that's, you know, claiming that we're going to take over this conference and show them nope, we're still here to stay. When I was at Pueblo, we used to say everything ran through Pueblo because it didn't matter where you went, you still had to drive through Pueblo to get there, right? And you know, they came out this last week and they kind of showed dominance. I mean, Reggie missed just one game. I think he missed 1.5 of it. And he's showing his stats back up to where he's kind of proven himself to be a top guy in the nation. You know, it's your key guy every time too. Like you know Reggie's going to be open, which makes Roman a little bit easier to play quarterback. Defensive side, man, Bryce Torrey, I mean, dude's been on a roll the past 2 weeks. I mean, been on a roll. I can name a few DBs that have probably been like statistical with him, but I mean, he's been making plays. That should be his nickname, is, you know, big playmaker. Like whenever you're in the dumps somewhere, the offense is moving, just know Bryson's going to show up and he's going to make a play for you. And that's all that matters.
I can only imagine how competitive him and Gary are in that linebacker room together.
Yeah,
like think about those two practicing together. Like you were gone last week. I'm sure you saw it, but Bryson had the payer play last week, dude, where he just strips bro and then just runs the other way, and nobody realizes what's happening until it's too late. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, he's really popping right now on tape. Big shout out to him. But like, where does Highlands go from here? You know, that's 2 weeks in a row. You start off 3-0. You know, like, you got the big hype train behind you. Everybody's you know, on the vibe, going purple this year, and then you play two big boys, and really get it put on you. Like, how do you bounce back from that, and where do you think they are as a team right now?
I think it's the reset that you truly need, especially as a coaching staff. Like you can't ever go into it knowing like, yeah, 3-0, knowing that you should have beaten the three teams and then be like, RMAC champs, ride it up. We've got it locked up, right? Like it's the reality of like you've played the two best teams in the RMAC and now you can scale yourself. How far are we away from truly calling ourselves champion? The best thing for Islands is they've got those two games out of the way. The rest of the RMAC, they're within playable range. Like they can make some plays and finish this season out to where they're 9-2 and they look good, and if it works out the rest of the schedule and Pueblo and Western do their thing all the way throughout, there might be an opportunity for them to sneak in. There might be an opportunity for them to look back and be like, hey, this is the best, most success we've had as a program. Let's continue building, right? And like I've said it, I think every week we've talked about Highlands, but you got to be able to play 4 quarters. It's not about showing up in the first half. It's not showing up in the fourth quarter when the other teams put in their third and fourth string. You got to be able to put in 4 quarters. Obviously, it hurts a lot when Jeffrey Jones wasn't playing. That takes a lot of the box pressure out of it, and now the back they can just kind of float out and make their plays. But it's disturbing, I guess, to say that you can't really rely on a quarterback to be that face that you need. I don't know if there's an issue with Ike to where he wasn't the starter, but even when he was the starter in the games that they were 3-0, he didn't do anything with the offense. Like he did not do anything with the offense. So maybe that's why they moved the move with Colin and just kind of produce some type of offense that we haven't seen before throughout 4 quarters. And at points, I was like, oh, this guy can do it. And then, reality set in and CSU Pueblo did CSU Pueblo things. Now we'll, go back and say on CSU Pueblo's side, this is a game you should have won and definitely won. The standard should not drop even when you've taken out the first, the second string guys. Those third string guys, that's where you're looking at and say, hey, we've got the shutout going into the fourth quarter. Hold that thing and you start to crumble, right? Like that's where, leadership comes into a big majority of it. For Highlands, you just pick up, pick your armor up. The battle's not over. The war's not over. You just lost a minor part of this, and you just keep going forward.
It's not going to get any easier because they have to go up to Chadron, Nebraska next week and play the Eagles, who are on a tear. Here we'll get to that later, but overall, big kudos to Pueblo for going up, driving down the road. I think it's probably like 3-4 hours from where Pueblo is in actual location driving. So not the longest bus ride, but going and handling business the right way. Gotta give them a lot of credit. Same to Western though. Western ends up dropping. You're going to see once we get to the national poll, but Western drops a spot, and kind of the narrative that's starting to creep up around Western is just they haven't played anybody. Like their strength of schedule is really bad. You can only play who you're scheduled against, but Western continues to handle business. They handled business last week. They do it again this week up in Durango, and they do it without the president. The president wasn't even playing, and they still 49-10 blitz Fort Lewis in their house. Josiah Roy came in as the starter, got to start this week, and he looked like a veteran, even though he hasn't been the starter for the past few years. And then this freshman, Quinn Bailey, again, I kind of hit on it last week. Last week was kind of his breakout game, but how Chadron let him get out of Nebraska and not on their team is wild to me. But we got RMAC Insider in the comments. He said the VP did great. Yes, he absolutely did. He did his thing. What was your takeaways from this game? Were you disappointed in the Skyhawks maybe not putting up a bigger fight, or is this just kind of par for the course when you're playing Western and you're not named Pueblo?
I mean, truthfully, I'll say both ways. So when we talk about a team playing in Durango, playing against Fort Lewis, we always talk about elevation. this is a school that, they deal with elevation just as much as Fort Lewis does. So when it came to conditioning, you knew that they were going to be on par or ahead of where they needed to be. Now, Fort Lewis, I think they're going backwards and they're going down, and that's just my viewing. They've had games all year where you've learned the last 4 years how to take a good butt kicking, and now how do you turn it into a win? You've had that grasp of a win and you've given it up. And then there's games like this where it seems like you don't show up. They were on the field. There were 100% 11 players on the field every time, but I don't think there was 11 players committed to Fort Lewis. And that's what really, it showed out to me for the first time, where I was like, man, there's not guys running to the ball like we've seen week in, week out on the defense. Offensively, the O-line didn't look like the O-line that we had been kind of talking about throughout the year, right? Like, it was kind of like they were shell-shocked, and they let that number in front of the name kind of freak them out. They saw number 6 and was like, oh, this is the number 6 team.
Oh, this is number 5 at the time.
Or no, yeah, sorry, I will say number 5. That is right. But I will say they saw that number 5 and were like, they're the big dogs. They're nationally ranked, and they kind of took a step back. Kind of jump on what RMAC Insider said. The vice president did great. As a president, when you're out, golfing on your off days and stuff, you kind of expect your vice president to be up and have your back. And Josiah Roy did just that. I mean, he controlled the game. He scored touchdowns. He ran the scheme just like the scheme should be ran. If you watch Nash, I think Nash has very similar player or stats to what we saw. I mean, that's just what the schematics of it is. Their defense is pretty awesome. I mean, you just watch them. They get if you ever watch Western Colorado football, watch how late their defense is to actually looking at the offense. They sit there and wait. Their DC sitting there.
Coach Hours wait to the last second.
And they're like,
okay, they're in this. You guys blitz. Like, he's just calling what pressure where he wants the pressure to come from. And he really does wait to the last moment.
Every time, the final 2-3 seconds, boom, here's the call. Okay. And they're in the play, they're making the play, and you're like, wow, like, that's pretty unique and pretty awesome to see.
The amount of free runners they have in the backfield every game, like every draw, it's insane, dude. He's crazy, bro.
And then to kind of lean on what we were saying at the beginning, it is rough. It's not the strongest strength of schedule, so they aren't going to get the most love, but they're 5-0. Not every team is out here 5-0. You could go out there and schedule, the worst schedule of players or teams that you're going to beat, Alabama, and know that you're going to come out with some great wins. But there's games you still lose. There's games that you overlook, and Western has not done that. They're 5-0. And so that's one thing I think as voters we need to look at is there's a reason they're 5-0. They're going to be a top contender in the RMAC. They're going to be a top contender when it comes to playoff time. And, Fort Lewis, on your side of things, we got to learn how to win games. We got to learn how to show up. Just simply where it's at.
We gotta learn how to just compete. Like, nobody's expecting you to actually beat Western, but like, make it competitive. Cause some turnovers, do a trick play, Morris is actually that bad. I think Jacob Morris is all right. I think he's efficient. I just think he's always under fire a lot, and when you're under fire a lot, these are the results you get, and that's how it is when you play Western. It's just you're under siege for a period of time. But our last game from last week, the Eagles, like I said, they're on a tear right now. They're not playing around. Is that 4 straight for them?
Yeah.
Or did they have a loss in there?
No, I think it's because they started out 0-2, right?
Yeah, they lost to UNC and they lost to Kearney.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4 straight for the Eagles. This one in dominant fashion. Tommy Thomas gets freaky on the Grizzlies, 144 yards, 2 tubs. Quincy Riker's just, productive again. Him and Dayton Pearson, both just 2 productive guys. That little tandem they got neither one of them is kind of like, like a main lead back. They just both get carries, and they're both super productive. And then the defense, again, you see they blanked Adams, not even 100 yards passing. It was tough scenes for Gavin, tough scenes for the freshman. Didn't matter who was in. They couldn't really get much going on the offensive end. And then the thing that really stands out to me, dude, Logan O'Brien, he's going to be the defensive player of the year, bro. I'm calling it now. He's just on it. He's on a tear. Four TFLs, 2 sacks. Like, it's going to be him.
Logan's definitely a guy that shows up week out or week in and week out. And I definitely agree. He's got the strongest case for defensive player of the year.
As of right now, because I will say this too. He probably needs one more, he probably needs that win over Pueblo. Get that one over Pueblo, and he'll secure that bet.
He'll have it right with him. Shadron, I mean, they looked very, very good. Again, you're playing Adams State. Let's be reality. We're not saying they're playing, another Mines weekend. They're coming out 45-2. But they played a very good, sound game, offense, defense, and special teams. It helps when you got a guy like Aiden that can make the offense run and churn, and you're not turning the ball over, and you're able to score. It helps when you have an everything of a receiver, Tommy Thomas, and make plays when he's going to be down there. He's going to make the play. And it also helps when you've got a stud like Logan O'Brien, and I think it's the True brothers, right?
The True brothers are fire. Yeah. Stimler, Dax, Tucker, like
they've got
statistically, their secondary's fire. Their secondary, it's underrated, but their secondary is actually fire.
And when you have a defense like that, it really, as long as offensively you put up points and you don't turn the ball over, your defense can take care of the rest. And that's known what Shatter's done in history. Jumping over to Adams, I mean, positively notes, you didn't get blanked. You scored 2,
Hey, you got a safety. Did you? I don't know if you watched it, but it was like, so they were punting. They punted to Shadron. The returner, the ball touched him. He doesn't try to recover. He doesn't recover it. It rolls into the end zone, off the ricochet. And Adams recovered it. And I don't know what penalty. I can't remember, but they ended up just repunting. And they probably should have had a touchdown there. Watching it live, I was like, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not much, but I mean, hey, it's tough scenes out there. It's hard rebuilding a program, you know what I mean? Especially in your first year, especially in our conference. Our conference is, I don't care what anybody says, our conference is pretty legit. So it's rough out here, and it's going to take some time for Coach Gallus and the boys, but.
And it's probably hard too for Adams to be able to watch film, and your camera guys watching this, but the plays over here. So that's probably where we should start at, is fixing how to broadcast our kids running and doing plays. That's the first step for them.
Moving along, we want to highlight the conference's best this week. Like I said, I was there in person for Brandon Belgrave's, star-turning performance where he just ran all through Mines. Quite frankly, nobody could tackle the guy. And then Lane Thomas coming up with those 2 huge picks that really, set the tone in the big rivalry game. I haven't seen some picks like that in a while. Have you seen a pick like that in conference play this year?
No, I mean, that was a true great
Gibby's
play.
On Pueblo was really nice, where he kind of lost the defender right at the goal. That one was nice too, but I mean, his going backwards like this and snagging one, and then over the top of the dude on what looked like the post. Hats off to him. Good job, 2-1. That was, salute you. That was amazing. That made me happy as a DB watching that. And then Jackson Smith hit a 60-yarder.
Yep, 60-yarder. Yep, school record. He banged it. He had room for even more than that. I mean, if you see him warm up in pregame and stuff, he's lining up. I think it's technically 67 out. What I was told at Mesa last week when he kicked one at halftime, it went through at 67. So he's obviously got the leg, and it's just you're happy now you have that accolade too, that you you set the school record. I mean, we know you got the leg. It's something that they struggled. This guy can show up and kick for you. Shout out to all three of these guys. I mean, when the time comes, all three of them made the play that really special teams will take out of it. But offense and defense, those two players are the ones that made their team win the game.
Tilted the game completely in their team's favor. And then speaking of special teams though, like it's crazy to think that they're undefeated if their kicking game is better. You know what I mean? They had a couple they had some kicking problems versus Fort Hays, and they lost a really close ball game. They gotta feel really good seeing Jackson Smith, the transfer, really coming along and proving to be that reliable leg that they're going to need, especially for the playoff run they want to have. But we hinted at this earlier. This is the new updated top 25. And if you're paying attention, you're going to see Western drops the spot from 5 to 6. Pueblo, they jump up a spot from 12 to 11 now. But they dropped that spot because somebody that we're really familiar with, a guy that we're a big fan of, and we follow his school and his team. But the UTPB Falcons beat Angelo at Angelo's place this past week. That's their second win. That was their second win over a top 10 team this year. So they get the nod and they jump up into the top 5. Fair or not? How we feeling, Draper?
It's very fair. We talk about strength of schedule. I mean, it makes sense for them to move up. I mean, when you look at the top 5, 4 of those teams are contenders. There's one pretender still to me, and I think Kutztown is the team that's going to be knocked out real fast when they get in the playoffs. But I think Ferris, Harding, UTPB, and West Florida, those are true 4 teams that you should be scared of when you're playing in the playoffs.
West Florida was in a game at a Northern State in the Quad this weekend. Did you see that? They barely got out of there alive.
I'll give it to them that they're playing. Here's my thing: playing in West Florida when they're a home team, that is a huge advantage to them. It's humid, it's hot, it's a travel for a lot of these teams in their region to get down there. That's why I think they're going to be pretty hard. UTPB, they're kind of like an oil jack of the area they're used to. They just keep pumping and pumping and pumping, and eventually they hit the oil that scores. Harding is Harding. They're going to show up and run the ball down your throat, and then Ferris is Ferris.
It is as much as UTPB is proven, and hats off to Coach McCullough and the boys, but they're playing Central Washington, who's coming in there at 15, who I think is actually a lot better than 15.
Yeah.
So like we're gonna find out this weekend. That's gonna be a great matchup with huge implications within our region. Yeah, man. It's what do you think about Pueblo? You think Pueblo you think they're deserving of getting back in that top 10 with how they've responded after that loss to Fort Hays a few weeks back, maybe a month ago now?
I mean, here's the thing with them is Duluth is going to play not Mankato. I think I forgot who
Duluth already beat Mankato. Duluth is kind of coasting now. Like the next, I think the last really big game for the NSIC it's August. It might be Augie Mankato.
So I mean that's a room spot for them to make space. I think the top 10's kind of set, other than really.
You keep Angelo in the top 10 coming off the loss?
I do keep them.
You would have kept them?
I think they've done enough things to where they've proven they're a top 10 team. Pueblo's loss is really what puts them down. I mean, it's not to say Fort Hays is not the top 20 team in the nation. It's just in that game and how it happened, and then the game after, it kind of just set them apart. They're on the right streak. Don't get me wrong.
I would argue in Pueblo's favor. They lose a tight, down to the wire last play of the game to the number 20 Fort Hays, but they go and then they beat Central Missouri, who's rounding into form, who went into UCO and handled business this weekend. Like, I do think Pueblo. I think everybody's gonna have their doubts. Just anybody that follows this and remembers last year in the playoffs and then that game at Fort Hays. But I really do think Pueblo, I think they're really driven and focused, and I think they might be better than 11th in the nation. I think they could go with all those teams, to be honest.
I mean, if you look at what it's set up right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Harding is in the region, right? UTBB is in the region.
1, 2, 3, 4,
4,
5.
So Pueblo would be the 5th seed if this is how you look at it. So Pueblo would not have a home game. They would be traveling to Angelo, who I think Angelo is a very good home team. Like, I really do think they're good. And that's not to say UTPB went in there and took them out on their home field. UTB is just that good. But Pueblo's got to be able to go on the road in a far standard and be able to show up where, I'm not saying they haven't shown up on away games, but they've struggled. They've definitely struggled in away games. They're going to have all their players. But right now, when you look at it, they're the 5th seed going into the playoffs. And that's the hardest thing. It's like you want to at least have a home game. Your first team is going to get a bye. After that, it's going to shake out to be kind of interesting. Again, the Lone Star is still going to play each other. The Lone Star is still like crazy. They've got a few games that are going to be shaking out.
You see this comment. Hey, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'd actually be 6th. Like, dude, Pitt State right after Western.
Yeah.
Our region, like, this is why I pulled the comment. Our friends over at D1 Rejects pointing out SR4 is loaded. This is gonna be. These playoff matchups are going to be crazy, bro. Insane. And I don't know that we are going to have any home games. Like, yeah, unless Western runs the table and beats Pueblo, because that'll really, boost their stuff late in the year, their strength of schedule, and then just being undefeated. But, assuming they lose that game, yeah, we're definitely not getting home games this year, at least not early. We're going to have to win on the road and then maybe later, but looking ahead, bringing it back to the RMAC, and we're going to look at some last games and make some picks before we wrap this up. This is the slate this week. I honestly think that this may be the best game. We've been talking about how Black Hills just plays to their level of competition. As much as that can be frustrating when they're playing down, I do think they also play up. And even though this is a road game, I think they've shown, the way they went into Grand Valley and competed. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to be trying to prove something. Especially, they're going to be pissed off. You just lost on your home field, lost your rivalry game. Those seniors on that team, like the Kellen Colliers of the world, he's going to have it out for Luke Hill, for Taylor Nichols, that interior of Western. I think we're going to see a really competitive ball game, actually. What's your take? Who do you think wins and why? And then I'm gonna make my pick after you make yours, actually.
Okay. Kind of getting ready for it. Western coming into this game, they're pretty powerhouse. Black Hills, I think they need to start getting the dynamite ready and start carving another face in Mount Rushmore, which is going to be Drew Nash, especially when he comes in this week and drops, 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 rushing. I've got Western by at least 30 just because Western is that type of team. And I'm being honestly, and I'm trying to keep it straight, but like Western, I think runs away with this. I think Black Hills ran out of the magic that's kept them in a lot of these games this year. It's struggled to be 1-5 and try to look positive forward, especially when you have the president coming to visit you front and center.
Or you're going to visit the president. He's hosting you.
Oh, I mean, yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's hosting you at his White House up in the elevation, and you have to enjoy not breathing, and it's probably going to somehow be cold. We're getting into that time where Gunnison is not a great time to be. I love Gunnison. I do love Gunnison, but it's too cold.
I live in Colorado. It's getting cold already. But I'm not going to go with you in the sense of that they're going to win by definitely not 30 points. Like, I think Western wins. I think they pull away and they win comfortably. At least 2 scores, whether that's 10 or 14, I don't know. I couldn't say. But I do think Western will win. But I think they're going to come to play. If you're a DB for Western, bring your lunch pill. I'm not gonna lie. Like, young Ramon is one of my favorite young guys in the conference. He's one of my favorite players to follow. I've been following him since high school. This is gonna be a game where I know their offensive coordinator, when he sees TJ lined up, he's gonna be like, even if he doesn't, Doobie's gonna look and be like, all right, let's see. Let's make him prove that he could do it. I think this is going to be a game where Black Hills is going to take their shots. Like, they have nothing to lose. So I think they're going to come out gunning and firing, and I think they do have the physicality to maybe punch Western, but I think Western's just such a loaded front seven in defense that I think over the course of the game, they're going to get to Doobie and they're going to cause some turnovers. And, I mean, as you can see, Black Hills hasn't been able to get the ground game established all year. I definitely don't see that happening against Western. So I think Doobie may have some heroics for a bit, but I do think the pressure ultimately overwhelms him. And I think the president, if he's going to be in attendance for this this get together, I think he's gonna do his thing and show his presidential quality, I'll say. So I got Western by at least 2 scores. But moving along to our next one, we got Highlands going up to Shadron. It doesn't get any easier. Like, so I said that Mines actually probably isn't in the elite category anymore. It's kind of a big 2. If we were to still look at it as a big 3, I would have Shadron as the team that's slotted up into that conversation now of who can be the best team in the conference. That defense, I've been saying it for a couple of years now. If you've been watching the podcast, I always say that defense is for real. The 23.8 points per game, I really don't even think that's indicative of how good this defense actually is. I think they're very sound, very assignment sound, and I think they're stout. They got a stout front seven, and I think their secondary is one of the most underrated in our conference and maybe in the country. You only giving up 150 yards a game. I love to see that. But on the other end for Highlands, I don't know if Jeffrey Jones is going to be back. It doesn't seem like Tavita Valetti is maybe he's having this sophomore slump, so to speak. I don't think they're going to get it going in Shadron. Give me Shadron with their offense starting to really click with Aiden Thompson leading the way. Give me Shadron by 3 scores.
Yeah, this is a big game too. Shadron's homecoming. It's going to be a
no, their homecoming was Mesa,
what?
And they already won that one.
I thought there was their homecoming. I could have seen somebody made a post that they're giving out tickets for it. Regardless, Shadron's on a win streak. They're doing good like they've haven't done in the past. They're going to bring in the crowds from all the towns within 45 miles, add an extra 200 people to the game. But they're going to be challenged, I think, truthfully, against this week, especially if Jeffrey Jones shows up. I think this could be one of the times where they're challenged at first in the year on having to deal with a run game and a guy who can get open at any point of the field with Mike Jones. Honestly, I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to say Highlands gets the win. I'm going to say they win by 7. And that's only if Jeffrey Jones is suited up and playing. Do I take Highlands? If he's not suited up, RMAC Insider, do not give me this loss if he's not suited up. But if he's not suited up, I think Shadron wins it, and I think they win it handily. But I will say my number one bet that I'm taking is Highlands to win by 7 with Jeffrey Jones, because I think he shows up and plays. You don't want to miss those games. Their offense is just too tough to stop when you've got all your keys in there. And I think it's a challenge for this defense that we've been talking great about. I think it's going to be the one where you come out and show us that you can stop the run and the pass, and then that's just where it's going to be.
To me, they did that at Mines, but hey, to each his own.
Not yet.
To each his own.
Not yet.
Speaking of Mines, we got the Battle of the Nerds. SD Mines on a 2-game winning streak. Seems like that comeback versus Fort Lewis that really might have, just you've been on a team where, momentum. If you guys believe that you can do it, it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what the other team thinks. When you have a certain level of belief, I've seen magical things happen. Do you think something magical could happen and SD Mines could win the Battle of the Nerds?
I think this is a good game where they're lined up. They're on the right roll. Mines is kind of rolling backwards. I mean, there's only one school of Mines, and that is South Dakota Mines. Give me them. Give me South Dakota Mines again with the upset. I think they keep this ball rolling. They figured out how to score. They figured out how to play defense. Mines is still trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. I think we've dropped back to trigonometry, and they're trying to figure out trigonometry 4. And South Dakota Mines is out here already on Astronomy 6, and they're blasting off. We are at the beginning. Give me South Dakota Mines, 3-point game. That is it. That's all I've got to say.
Could you imagine how loud the horns would be honking if what you say is gonna happen? Could you imagine?
Dude, imagine the horns blaring. You've got the guy playing bass up there in their drum. They've got the most wild band out there. You've got a bass, you've got a guy with a drum set, you got a saxophone. I mean, things are gonna go wild. All 17 students are gonna show up and they're gonna rush the field after they win this game.
Do you think for this game, like, I don't know, we saw they had a good showing in Spearfish this past weekend. Their fans, after 2-game winning streak, their last game was exhilarating. If you were a student and you got to watch the fourth quarter comeback, I gotta imagine are they gonna pack this thing out? Is Rapid City gonna be lit this Saturday?
I hope that is one of the coolest stadiums to play at, and I hope they've got all the car parking. You've got the dudes barbecuing behind the opposing team. Like, I hope
Lions guys are going to be getting hungry on the sideline.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're getting a hot dog. You're like, yeah, let me get a hot dog. Dang, they just scored. Yeah, I don't care. I got a hot dog. I don't know. I've got faith. I think this magic could happen. South Dakota Mines has showed up, and they figured out what it takes and what it takes to be dirty, honestly, like last week's game. And now if the weather's in their favor, I'm going to bet on them times 2. I'm going to say this is a 7-point game. But, we've talked about Western not being truly challenged in their preseason games. I didn't think Mines played up to their challenge. I mean, Washburn's not a top 3 team in their conference. West Texas, we watched Western put up a lot more points than them struggling with it. So that's just kind of where I base it. Now, we've already talked about UFC math, but I'm using UFC math here, and I love the win streak South Dakota's on, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take it to them.
All right, well, I hate to rain on your parade, but I'm going to have to roll with your Deers here. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. I think SD Mines, they're on their way, and they got good things happening. I think that fourth quarter drive really turned their whole season around. It has this whole team just with a whole different vibe now. But I still think Mines is going to be a little bit much, and it's going to be a Mines that's pissed off. They just lost on Mines hasn't won a game on their home field, but they've handled business on the road all year. I don't think that changes. I think CO Mines, the Ore Diggers, handle business. I think Capra keeps doing what he's doing. I am going to be interested to see if Landon Walker is back or not. I think that could be big. If he is, I think that really bodes well for the Ore Diggers. But withstanding that or not, I still think Capra and them will do enough. And I think the defense, you got to imagine Coach Tripp is running the tackling circuit every day this week in practice. We might not even do, you know what? We're going to scrap Skelly. We're going to scrap one-on-ones. We're just going to do the tackling circuit for 3 hours.
Yep. And they're not going against Brandon Belgrave. I mean, Brandon Belgrave, there's not a player on South Dakota.
Hey, Dunbar, he's a little compact, tough, hard-nosed running dude. You seen that touchdown he had? He ran through a couple guys, shrugged off some arm tackles. I think Ty Harris, he's a little bigger too. He's more shifty in my mind, but I think it's gonna be interesting to see how Mines responds. But I give me the Ore Diggers. I hope it's rocking. I hope it's a raucous environment. I hope it could be a close game. I would love to see a great game that came down to it. But I think the Ore Diggers are just gonna be a little bit too much.
there's a saying, you got to be a hard rocker before you can be a ore digger. So that's why I got the hard rockers first.
All right, bro. All right, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Uh, we got Fort Lewis heading to Pueblo. It's not gonna. I'm gonna be real. I don't think this one's gonna be pretty. I think Pueblo. They're just too focused right now. Yeah, give me Pueblo by what they won 59-13 last week. Give me them by at least 30. In this one, yeah, give me Pueblo by 30.
Luckily, this game's not in Durango, or I might have a point against
A
it. But
third upset?
yeah, I might have a third upset, but I think this is a game where the Pack comes out, they control the game, and all three levels. Special teams is their key factor. It looks like they've kind of dove in more. I think there's a special teams touchdown somewhere in here. Defensively, they're going to come out. They're going to stop what Fort Lewis has to show. And then offensively, they're not going to be stopped, especially when you have Reggie four hands go up there and make a play. Doesn't matter where his actual hands are. He's going to make a play somehow.
Doesn't matter if the defender's in his pocket. None of it matters. Just throw it up.
He's going to score. So I got CSU Pueblo by I'm gonna say like 35 plus. I think they come out, control this game, and they win it. Don't be shocked though if Fort Lewis, gets a little control early. First drive, they go up 7-0, and that's the only lead that they get.
Do you think if you were coaching Fort Lewis and Stone is healthy, is this the game you let him come back? Do you even want him to come back in this game for his confidence, or do you save him for maybe next week when you're playing, more even competition?
I think we're past the point in the season, which is crazy to say that we're even this far now, but I think it's past where you go on to the next guy. If Stone can come in and compete in a practice week and he can show that he's the guy during practice, you let him go. You don't hold him back. You let the player play. But you have a guy who's came in and been able to rely on, be able to move the ball in stressful situations. I think they just keep the hot hand going, which isn't too hot. It's kind of cold. But
what about Jake Jones? What about the really athletic quarterback, the guy that always the running quarterback? Like, do you let him start for real and let him play not just as your running quarterback, like not a dead giveaway every time he comes in the game? Everybody knows what's going to happen. Like, can Jake Jones get a start?
I think if they take the approach like Shadron had against Mines with Aiden and
Wyatt
Sprague. They take that approach. It kind of lets him warm up. The next week you let him. You let him take over 60-40 and get the more of a chance, get more development in your guys.
Just let him run the offense. Let him pass the ball. He was 3 for 3 last week. Let him pass the ball for real. You got a big play threat in Zachary Gomont. Like he's a baller. He gets behind defenses every week. So I love to see little Jake get an opportunity. Even though Jacob Morris has played well, I think he's played serviceable. I don't think he's played bad at all, but it's going to be tough this week. They're probably in for it.
And seeing in the chat, I guess it is Pueblo's homecoming, so they are excited. They're going to have a packed out dome and bowl, and it's going to be fun.
Do I go to that one or do I go up to Gunnison?
Whichever is the more financially favorite. That's what I want to say. I mean, out of both games, you're going to get lots of action shots. That's the struggle on your side.
Do you think Black Hills could make it a game? Because I don't have any hope that Fort Lewis makes that a game.
Yeah, I'd probably say the best game to go up and do your thing. Yeah, it's probably going to be the Black Hills Western game. The close travel, good film and good clips they're going to get at Pueblo. They're going to be there. It's homecoming. Get that live crowd. Get rid of the old 84 running around with nobody behind him. But I don't know. It's a shout out to my guys because it's homecoming. That's a lot of my buddies are going to go to that game. I wish I could make that trip. Eventually, I will make it back up to Pueblo. Eventually, it's just a little bit of a travel.
Well, our last game of the week, Adams is making the trip over to Grand Junction to Grand Function, and I think it's going to be Grand Function this weekend at Stoker Stadium. I think they're going to be hitting on all cylinders. I think the confidence that Mace is just going to have after getting a win like that, really grinding it out on a team with Mind's, prestige and reputation. I think that's really going to have the boys in Grand Junction feeling themselves. And Adams, I guess my question is, will they put up any fight? I don't have very much hope in that. Maybe Gavin pulls one out of his hat. He's playing his old school. But I really don't think so. I think the Mavs are going to have their way in this one. I think they're going to be able to run the ball, and I think we're actually going to see Cole. Have more success in the passing game. Like at different points in the season when he's gotten in, I think he's shown the ability to really go down the field. Him and Trek have had some nice connections. I think we're going to see that part of the Mesa offense on display, in addition to them continuing to just pound that rock.
Yeah.
But I don't think this one's going to be very close.
This is a big game, like you kind of said, for Gavin. He's going to come back, play his old team, in which, as a player, you kind of have that oomph against you, and this is where you come out and you score. I think Gavin's going to get himself a personal touchdown. He's going to run it in, and that might be the only score that Adams gets the rest of the game, because I do think Mace is going to run off with this. They've got a more complete team than what Adams has shown. Mesa's defense flies to the ball. You stop the clip, they have either 11 or all 62 running off the field to make a play, and that's just the thing that you got for Adams.
How those Mavs do it, man.
Yeah, I mean they rumble, and it's a rumbling herd. When you look up, you realize that they're coming from all ways at you. And they've been on the field previously in the beginning of the play, but I do think Mesa takes off. They run off with this. This is not going to be a close game, but Adams at least going to score, and it's because Gavin's going to go out there and show that he was not the problem. That's just where he's going to be at. Now, I've got a lot of confidence in the kid. I've just got a lot more confidence in the Mavericks. I think Gibby gets another turnover. I think Gibby is going to be my guy to pick on.
I think he's going to be a pick this week, though.
And my other guy to pick on is Cash Bradley. I want to see you lock up, and let's get a pick yourself. No touchdown, Cash. I mean, I love you, you know that, but let's get yourself a pick. Let's go out there. Let's ball out. Let's get back to where Cash Bradley. But I need Cash Bradley.
He played well last week, except just not early in the game.
Yeah.
Like that first one, I don't know what happened on that, but nonetheless, I think the Mavs win big by at least 21 points.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
I want to thank everybody that we got video from this week. Tim Flynn and everybody over at Colorado School of Mines, their athletic department and their broadcast team. They're top of the line week in and week out. They do it better than everybody else in the conference. And then KOTA, the boys out there, my man Noah Miller coming through once again. We really appreciate you and all you do to help us highlight these players and whatnot. But that is all we have for this week. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom, Mr. Draper?
Words of wisdom: love your fiance or wife, guys. I'm telling you, is a big thing. Happy wife is a happy life. And buddy, am I happy to be back this next week? Because man, last week was rough. Life got me kicked upside down. But that's the ebb and flows of life. You just keep riding it like a boat.
I'm going to try to take your advice. I still haven't learned that lesson just yet.
You will. There is somebody out there, AC.
Hey, you guys have a great night, and we hope to see you guys. If you got the chance, get out to a game. There's going to be some fun, competitive ones. You're going to see some high-flying action. You're going to see some touchdowns, some big hits, all of it. And we'll be back next week to break it down all once again. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.